good, people? It's your boy Icarus Gray.
And it's your homeboy Wordplay TJ.
And this is the No Rhyme or Reason podcast, where we talk about everything.
Everything for no reason at all. And we're live.
Yeah. What's good, people? It's your boy Icarus Gray.
And it's your homeboy Wordplay TJ.
And this is the No Rhyme or Reason podcast, where we talk about everything.
Everything for no reason at all.
We back.
Lemon pound cake. So we're gonna, of course, talk about the situation with Afroman. If folks don't know, the backstory is 3 years ago, Addams County Sheriff Office in Ohio decided to raid his house. They had a warrant saying that, you know, there's some issues of kidnapping assumed, and also some issues of drugs that was also assumed. And after they raided his house, it ends up they find nothing to try him for, nothing that he's guilty of. They found a little weed, found some other paraphernalia and stuff like that didn't necessarily belong to him, according to Afroman. But fast forward, after they raided his house, after they broke his property, after they're on his surveillance cameras, he starts asking them to repair the damage. And he does it through song. And one of those songs is Lemon Pound Cake, which subsequently he made a whole album roasting the Addams County Sheriff's officers and office for raiding his house in order to recoup the funds, in order to fix his door, fix his house, just basically fix up his property. And his issue was, since you're not going to take accountability for this, I think I should earn some of that money back. Well, fast forward to today, the Addams County Sheriff's officers, those individuals that are talked about within his songs that he made, wanted to sue him for defamation. They have sued him for defamation. I believe the prosecution wanted $25,000 per count of defamation. Not sure how many counts there were to begin with. And then Afroman defends himself in court. Well, this past week, I believe it was somewhere around March 19th, 20th, 2026, he defeated them in court after defending himself, saying, I have the First Amendment right to insult these people. They are public officials. We can say things about public officials in a way that's not defamation, but is in turn parody of my life. And so I have the right to do so. These people are baseless claims. They shouldn't have came in my house. They shouldn't have broke my property. They should have taken accountability for this. And now this is the situation. So there's the backstory. The very long backstory. I'm curious about what you think of the impacts after Afroman has won his case.
Let's go! Let's go! What?
And what else?
Okay. So basically, I'm more excited in regards to like rap music becoming not court case defendable things and being fun and being able to say the freedom of speech things that you want to say. I don't know how many people will like point to this case or anything like that, but me personally, this is a win for hip hop as a whole, and being able to speak your mind about the things that are going on in your life without it being something that will be detrimental to you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that he wasn't in the house during the raid. I'm glad that this isn't like a tragic story. I'm glad that this is like all above board, outside of how the Addams County people acted. But yeah, man, I am overall just really excited for Afroman in the fact that, like, you have sustained a career off a viral moment, but have continued doing music. You're a great musician, and you had a terrible circumstance happen to you that normally when we look at it, people would kind of have some
speculation
about whether or not, you know, like, well, this would seem like a thing. Like, it would seem like he would, you know, be trafficking in these things. He has a whole song about how he didn't go to work because he get high and all this other stuff. Finally being able to, like, show, like, you had no evidence, I didn't defame you. The only reason you're even suing me is because you didn't have anything. You
think Afroman has the time to commit crimes?
No, I feel like even better.
I was gonna commit some crimes, but then I got right. Like, that's yo. You see what I'm saying?
No, but do you think he has enough time to commit crimes and not get noticed for real?
Yeah. So I think I bring that question jokingly, but I also legit believe that, like, he doesn't have enough time to do that. He says in his own testimony and other interviews and things of that nature that he's on the road most of the year.
Yeah.
So, like, he wasn't even at home when they did this raid. Like, I get it, right? There are individuals out here doing dirty work and all these other things, but Afroman seemingly is the last person that you would think that is engaged in these types of things. And so, like, I feel like the whole thing was baseless to begin with.
1,000%. Maybe they were basing it off of him kicking that fan that shouldn't have been on stage.
Wait a minute. I was not prepared to talk about that.
Oh, sorry.
Speculation.
That's all I got, bro. Like, I other than that, I can't see. Like, it's not like he moving around like a YN or like a age drug dealer that we're all like, like, man, Afroman be out here moving.
He's a 50-year-old rapper that got famous in the 2000s off a song about forgetting to do anything important in life other than getting high. What are we worried about?
Like, what is the concern?
Yeah, and so, yeah, shout out to Afroman. Yeah. Shout out to his defense attorney. Shout out to those individuals that were on the jury that, you know, kind of came to the right decision around him and protecting his freedom of speech.
Yeah,
and stay out of these people's houses just because you don't like them. Let's move on.
All right.
Questlove believes that the Swollquarians.
That's our new name for them, the Swollquarians.
The Soulquarians are gonna get back together. So this is according to, like, Hip Hop DX. Let's see who we did an original interview with. So in Hip Hop DX, they report that Questlove has talked on his podcast, the Questlove Show, about getting the Soulquarians back together, including himself, Bilal, James Poisoner, and then we know that, you know, rest in peace D'Angelo, rest in peace Dilla, Erykah Badu, Common, Q-Tip, Mos Def. Yasin Bey, formerly known as Mos Def. So he wants to get those folks back together in order to do some music, and I'm just curious about, like, what we think about that. Right? Is it yes? Is it yes? Is it no? Is it
yes?
Yas?
Is it Yasin?
Yas?
Yasin?
Is it a negative for you? Like, what do you think?
It's always a positive to me when there are hip hop collectives of great artists. Always positive to me, because I think we're better as a community when we work together, especially when you are at the epitome or the apex of your careers.
Yeah.
And I think this is, like, the perfect time, especially when...
Wait a minute. Be careful using hyperbole when you speak. Sorry. Sorry.
Yo. Comments. Chill, y'all. But here's what I think, right? So we just had Jack Harlow record his entire Monica album in Electric Lady, right? It's only right that the original people who made that studio famous in that way, to me, reclaim their space within our listening, within our zeitgeist, if you will. And I just think that there's like way more benefits from artists like Erykah Badu, Yasin Bey, and the rest to, even if it's coming back together to make a new project or make a new project for somebody, make a compilation with a bunch of artists that you mess with now, grow the Swollquarians, make them even more swole.
Grow your swole. I feel like I have a speech impediment right now. Like I'm struggling to say that.
But yeah, I think it's really great for the game. What do you think?
I think it's terrible.
Whoa. Wow.
I'm going to say a resounding no.
Wow.
I feel like you need the energy of Jay Dilla, the artistic creativity of him. Obviously, you need the artistic creativity of D'Angelo. If you were that concerned about doing it, in lieu of Dilla's passing, right? Dilla couldn't control that, or D'Angelo couldn't control passing sooner than what people expected. But like, I think if it was important to you, you would have done it, kept people together in the 2000s. You know what I mean? If it was important to you, you would have like made sure to cement those like bring Voltron together. To do the thing, and doing it now when the same energy isn't there, I feel like it's just sort of making it a thing to do versus like it happening organically. You know what I mean? It's more intentional versus like we just so happen to be connected together because we're in the same space or we're sharing space and we bump into each other and then we click and then we, you know what I mean? It takes out the reason why it happened in the first place. Also, rest in peace to Bob Power, who is another instrumental part of this, no pun intended. He's the engineer behind a lot of their works. And like that, all of those bodies, all of those individuals in the room are important to the equation. And so I have trouble understanding what would be the outcome of them getting together when they're missing some crucial components.
Okay. Here's my
speculation.
Because I have to do that based off of what disbanded the Soulquarians to begin with, or at least the
speculation
of what did that, right? And it was based off a 2000s Vibe article that had Eminem and Dr. Dre on the cover where they were all together, and seemingly it seemed like Questlove, or the way they did the interview with Questlove, it made it seem like he was the boss of them, and they didn't necessarily take kindly to that. Mos Def and notably Erykah Badu, I think, are the most, at least in terms of his memoir, the people that spoke to him about it, right? I think at the end of the day, it just kind of shows growth is why I want it. Because like a Vibe article without like having a conversation with your mans or whatever, and like, no, y'all don't work for me. Like y'all know me well enough to know I don't think that, or I would hope so. But apparently not. So I'm more so happy for the mended bridges. Even if we get nothing from it, just them being in a space to where go tour together. Do, like if you did something together that doesn't necessarily have to be new, so that way we can keep the legacy intact. So, with the absence of Dilla, with the absence of D'Angelo, if we're just going and doing tribute stuff all together, I think that is a huge deal.
But I think if, we're talking about what frustrated them after the Vibe magazine piece, this is another instance of Questlove speaking for them without them being able to speak for themselves.
I didn't want to point that out, but I did also notice that, and I was like,
he's like, we're going to get together. Yeah. Who said we're going to get together, right?
Yeah.
Who says I want to get together without Dilla? Who says I want to get together without D'Angelo and without Bob? Like, you know.
But maybe, just maybe, like, let's not be the cynical guys.
Did you call them?
I would hope so. Like, because I can't make the case for you if you didn't. And if it was just something you felt like talking about for podcast clout or podcast information to give, little breadcrumbs to the people who would know what that means and what that meant to hip hop.
I don't think he's looking for podcast clout. I think he's just talking, but at the same time, like, Questlove has this sort of authority about what's going to happen, which I think came off on that Vibe magazine article, which I think is what people are kind of messed up about. It's like, who made you Captain Planet, so to speak?
I can't get dirty, Captain Planet. Like, why Captain Planet reference? But anyway, so either way, I hope that there's like a positive net of this somewhere. But it's soon to be seen. What is our last
seen?
Or not seen? You never know. That sounded. Now, nope. I'm gonna keep going.
So Jacole.
Jacole. Who is Jacole? What? Jacole.
J. Cole surprised us.
Yeah, he did.
On Mike Will made its new album Reset with a single called OFG. And he surprised us with a verse that is really just kind of him flexing his pen, getting his MC goal on. I feel like he's just like kind of talking crap the whole time.
I do too.
And saying whatever the heck he wants to say. And I think that connects to his most recent interview with Nadeska on Apple Music. And sharing all of the story and all of the details about his making of the Fall Off with Nadeska. So we're going to start with kind of talking about some of the bars in OFG, and then kind of segue into talking about the interview and what was impactful about the interview from our point of view.
We doing song or interview first?
Let's do a song first.
Okay. Song, the first general line in his verse about Lionel Messi being the GOAT and like, how come y'all didn't tell me soccer was lit? Is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Because
shout out Sherrod.
Shout out my dog.
Yeah.
He did play soccer. Anyway.
No, he just loves soccer. He played it, but I mean, that's not the point I'm making.
Oh.
He loves soccer.
But what's funny to me is it made me remember when I fell in love with like soccer and like the intensity of it. Now it's central is what I'm trying to say. Good God, the speech impediments in this episode
are hurting right now.
They are hard. Shout out to Hair Moore. Words are hard.
Oh,
wording is hard.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, like, but watching the World Cup is like one of the most electric sport events I think that I have ever watched.
Can't relate.
And it's a different atmosphere. Like to see the countries or the world actually all be involved in a sport versus like, not everybody cares about football, basketball, so on and so forth. So it just kind of made this line hit because I can see how it can connect to him in that way. And it's such a small, like cold observation, but it's one that I find way more relatable than, like loss of virginity. I
think the point that he was making is that, like, why did you pass me a basketball if this existed? Why aren't we going back and making soccer pitches versus just, staying on the basketball? Like, why isn't blackness sort of diversified in the tropes that we lean into, so to speak? And I think that's what he was most curious about in that section.
But it was a perfect setup because then he goes into like, I didn't really understand why people tried to cancel him for keeping his peace and like being accountable in the sense that it's just like, this ain't gonna be what I thought it was gonna be.
You have to explain more before you
so the line is, why they try to cancel a nigga like me, I would think that they could see that my intentions was good. And he's alluding to the beef and showing that his intentions in terms of his relationships with Kendrick Lamar and Drake were good. And it's like, y'all tried to cancel me for pulling out of something that was not going to be a sport. I actually have respect for these people. Like, my career does not go the way that it goes without the two of these people in terms of like shaping the dynamic of that, that three-headed monster that they are. So I just don't necessarily understand it, and I didn't understand it then.
Yeah, he goes on to say, like, it's been a long time since my mentions was good, and yeah. I think that just kind of piggybacks off what you said, to say that this was impactful in a way that it is everlasting. People, yeah. He said with Nadeska, and I think this is a perfect segue. He said with her that people were like, "You good? You good? You good? You good?" Like, just kind of checking up on him in a time where like he wants to disconnect from the world in order to like get deeper into making this album. And so he said that his album process has been 10 years in the making. And on the way to making his album over 10 years, he made the other albums. He made KOD. He made For Your Eyes Only. He made Forest Hill Drives. Like, so he made all of these things that were important and impactful to him, while trying to like extract pieces for the fall off.
Yeah. Also, we were correct. We predicted that when Might Delete Later came out right before the beef, that the fall off was going to be sometime in that quarter. If not for that beef, we would have got the fall off, because he was telling Nadeska like we had got to 8 years, and then all this stuff started happening, and we was already just like ready to put it out. But then the stuff happened. Mm-hmm. So that's what pushed it to 10. I'm glad that we was right. And I mean, Cole is very transparent with his creation process and the documentation of it. So it wasn't like it was hard to sniff out, but I feel kind of vindicated about the fact that I was like, well, that wouldn't make sense for you to drop it now, because it's going to get sheltered if you don't say something about the beef. It was able to exist on its own and kind of solidify itself even more as an emerging classic because of that.
There's also another line. Will you pause just a second? Will you read this couplet here?
This one?
Put right back on.
Oh, yeah. Put me right back on that list that had Pac and Biggie, Bob Marley, Snoop Dogg, and the Lox, and niggas like that who ain't never got props.
Yeah, so he said that his process during making this album was, I didn't want to go listen to all the classic albums that I had been listening to. I don't want to go back and listen to The Reasonable Doubt or It Was Written or, anything that was my favorite. Mm-hmm. I went back and listened to classic hip hop albums that were not notable or not the favorites in order to get the inspiration to make the fall off. And that makes sense, right? So it feels like this entire verse is connected one-to-one almost with that interview that he just did with Nadeska. And so it's the perfect timing, and which means that like it just means that it feels like J. Cole is in tune with his situation.
I also think what was interesting about it is the line before where he was like, "Fuck them little sympathy Grammys you niggas try to hand me, don't give me no award." And then he goes and like these other artists who did not win Grammys. And it's interesting because, he has 2 Grammys based off of features. One with 21 Savage in terms of a lot, and then the other one with Lil Durk. And it's one of those things where Forest Hill Drive, I feel like should have got one. KOD could have got one during that time because of how he viewed everything that was going on. And I know the other albums that was coming out, because I think KOD was the year that Tyler won for like Igor or something like that. But either way, it's like the best comparison I can make in terms of why that line hits so much is I'm thinking about the Oscars. I was thinking about the whole buildup of all the Grammy nominations or Oscar nominations for Sinners, and then thinking about the things that I hear the most from you, which is we have to stop looking for acceptance in spaces that don't accept us, that just placate to us, whether it's the Grammys or whatever. I kind of appreciate this line even more thinking about it under the context of they don't know how to appreciate you anyway.
Yeah, and also I think to your point, I also have I'm kind of tired of Grammy bars in a way, because not because it's not valid that, people aren't appreciated.
Yeah.
People are more appreciated today than they have been in the past.
Mm-hmm.
The structure of the Grammys is different than it has been in the past, especially what you're allowed to vote for if you don't work in a certain industry or a certain genre of music. And on top of that, the Grammys is what I've been saying it is, which is a sort of a club and a group where you have to campaign to that club in order to win. And if you don't campaign, I don't think it's worth it to even have that argument about like you forgot about me.
Yeah. And
if you can campaign your ass off, right, and then you're mad about that, like I shook your hand and then you didn't vote for me, like you know what I mean? I kissed your baby, right? You didn't vote for me.
Those are wild examples, but stuff that happens when you're campaigning.
But that's what it is. But nobody knows that like the Grammys is a campaign when he's making these bars, or we are making these bars as rappers.
Yeah,
they don't know how the structure works.
No. But I'm glad that, A, it doesn't matter and it's not deterring him from continuing to create work. I'm glad not only for that this verse exists, and even the interview where he's talking about that he's still working, he's not going Andre 3000 us. And I love Andre 3000 to death. I really wish he understood how much we appreciate his voice. And understood that there's still a space for you. This thing of like thinking you have nothing else to talk about, like you do have a lot to talk about. You have experiences and mentorship and things of where you are right now that help the rest of these old folks and people that are, mid, late 30s, early 40s to like have something like, I don't go to the club no more. I mean, Cole said it in the line where he was like, well, I mean, what was I gonna talk about? I don't go out to the club with my folks no more. We don't go after nobody. I'm married. I'm chilling at the house. Yeah, and that's relatable and understandable, and I can play it in the car and not feel like I'm like trying to fantasize my 18 to 21 year old years. Right? I can just kind of enjoy it. So I'm glad that he's continuing to do this music.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right. So, with that being said, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell for every time we release. We'll see you in the next piece, a 1 and a 2, and peace.